Recently, I came up with a very degenerate trading strategy on crypto futures, which allowed me to secure 118% gain by holding my position open for 28 seconds. And I posted this win on my Telegram channel and asked you guys if you want to see a video about it, so here it is. And if you want to join this Telegram channel, it will be linked in the description below. And this strategy will allow you to catch moves like this where Solana price dropped by 2.67% in less than a minute. But it also works if the Solana price is pumping. But first, let me break down how this strategy works. Let's be honest, every single financial market depends on the state of US economy, because pretty much everything is valued in US dollar, so you have to have confirmation of what is currently happening on US job market, US inflation, and what the Fed is going to do with the rate cuts. And right now we are just a few days away from FOMC meeting, which is going to happen on 17th of September 2025. And most likely we are going to get a rate cut. But every major event that could change the decision of the Fed was actually impacting the price of all the cryptos. For example, when I did this trade, we literally got the information about the inflation rates in the United States. And since the numbers were actually bearish for the rate cuts, it triggered a very short-term sell-off. And if you take a look at Bitcoin chart below, you can see the USA flags, and those mark any major economic events that could increase the price of Bitcoin. And if you don't see these symbols on the trading view, just right click on the chart, click settings, and on the bottom select events, and right here make sure you have economic events turned on. So this strategy is very simple. All you have to do is figure out when USA is going to drop very important information about inflation, the jobs, or the state of the economy, and make sure you prepare yourself Blofin account, which is funded with money. And if you don't use Blofin yet, it's the best centralized exchange with no KYC, so you can just make an account with your email and that's it. And if it doesn't allow you to create an account, just use a VPN. And if you want a link to Blofin, you can find it in the description down below. So first we need to find a pair which is very volatile. I personally chose Solana because recently it was pumping like crazy, and Blofin actually allows you to open 75x leverage on Solana, and this is why I picked this. You could technically do it on Bitcoin too, however, Bitcoin is higher market cap in total, so the price impact of the news will be smaller, so your potential gain is smaller too. And before we proceed even further, I want you to understand that we are going to play with very high leverage, so be very careful when using this strategy because you can easily lose your capital if you don't know what you're doing. I will also create an updated Blofin tutorial if you want to trade futures with lower leverage, which is going to be way safer. But this strategy is very degenerate, and I will show you why in just a second. Because the whole strategy depends on the news. Right here, this is the trade I made. And I showed you on TradingView that we actually got inflation data that was bearish for the rate cuts. It actually confirmed to us that we most likely aren't going to get higher rate cuts, just a small 25 basis points. And this turned the market very bearish for a couple of seconds, but it was long enough to open a short position, which allowed me to catch this huge dip. And at the same time, if the news are bullish for the rate cuts, that would cause the price to increase. So then you have to buy long. Because when you buy long, you are betting for the price to increase. I really hope you knew it already. But from what you can see on the chart, I entered the trade quite early, a few minutes before, because I decided from the price action that it's very likely that people with insider information are already pricing it good info about inflation. So I patiently waited for a small pullback from this point to enter my long. And let me just open a tiny trade to show you what I actually did. So when you open a trade, you have an option to reverse the position, which is going to close your current position and reverse it. So right now I placed a long, but if I see that the price action is actually moving down, then you can click reverse position and actually short the market. And this is exactly what I did right here. I just had this economic data on my second monitor and I just waited for the time it dropped. And I personally using investing.com for the info because you can easily filter out the info right here. And also it's color coded, so it's way easier to figure out if the data that you are looking at is going to short term increase the price or decrease it. And right here, those are my filters for the upcoming FOMC meeting for 17th of September. I just look at United States, display time remaining, have all the categories selected and only looking at the most important ones. And we have FOMC economic projections, statement, Fed interest rate decision, which is the most important thing. Then we have also press conference. And those two events are two great opportunities to bet on the news. I personally think that interest rate cuts is going to be, by the rumor, sell the news. So right after the rate cuts happen, we could potentially see the price decrease, at least in the first minute. And then you can watch press conference on YouTube. I will leave a link to it down in the description below. And then it all depends of what Jerome Powell says, because he's basically the main person behind Fed. So everything he says in this speech is going to be influencing the markets. And what you have to listen for is any information about the data coming out, if it's actually good for future rate cuts or not. And you also have to feel the current sentiment, if it's actually possible to cut rates on the next FOMC meeting, which is going to happen in October. Because it's likely that we are going to get 3 rate cuts this year. First one will be on the September 17th, and 2 next one will be one in October and one in December. But it all depends on the economic data and on the pressure from Donald Trump, because Donald Trump would love to obliterate current interest rates. So yeah, this is basically everything you need to know about this strategy. Just make sure you have your timer set up before the meeting, so you know a couple of minutes prior. If you hover on it, it will also show you how many hours you have left until the event. Get yourself a Blofin account and prepare yourself your setup. Make sure to choose market, increase the leverage, but of course nothing in this video is financial advice. High leverage is very risky. However, for this strategy, it actually works really well for me. So confirm it, and here on the market, specify the amount you want to buy, and then wait for the data and quickly decide if you have to long the position or sell short. And this whole move on this 1 minute candle actually took a few seconds, so you have to be very quick. Make sure to look at this economic calendar at the same time when you are looking at the page of Blofin where you can place this trade. If you have any further questions about this degenerate trading strategy, make sure to leave them in the comments below. And if you'd like to see any other tutorials about crypto trading, meme coin trading, etc., make sure to write down your suggestions in the comments below. And if you would like to stick to meme coin trading, make sure to watch this video. It's going to completely change the way you are trading meme coins.